For the first 20 seconds I held the shovel and said nothing. The white horse watched me from the end stall, ribs faint under the lantern light. Laughter came from the doorway, short, hard, like boots on gravel. "New man," someone said, "if you last till sundown I'll clap." I kept my eyes on the floor. The stink rose like steam. In my pocket, a folded note pressed against my palm. "Come without warning. They will not know you." I dragged the first pile to the barrow and listened. Water dripped through the roof. Chains trembled. The white horse snorted as if he knew me. "Easy, Blanco," I whispered. The name slipped out before I could stop it. Benitez heard. "You named him already?" he mocked. "How sweet." Ramiro stepped closer. His breath smelled of cheap coffee. "You clean fast or you sleep outside." "Clear?" "Clear," I said and lifted the shovel again. Every stroke felt like counting. One for the missing pay on the ledger. One for the sick foals. One for the extra feed that vanished each week. "Where did you work before?" a young boy asked from the next stall, voice low. "Different places," I said. "Same dust." He nodded like he understood. "They said the owner never came," he added. "They said he forgot us." "People say many things," I replied. A thin woman set a bucket near my feet. "Fresh water," she said. Her eyes were kind but careful. "I'm Lucia." "Gracias," I said by habit, and Benitez laughed again. "Hear that? City man plays cowboy." I shoveled slower to listen better. Voices argued in the feed room. Numbers, names, dates. Exactor. Grain pattered like rain. Ramiro's tone dropped. "Keep the cheap mix out of sight. He won't know." I looked at the white horse. He blinked back. I tightened my grip on the shovel and kept working. The night got quiet but not peaceful. Something waited under that silence, and it had my name on it. The smell of the cheap grain still hung in the air the next morning, even though Ramiro had shut the feed room door as if hiding a secret would erase it. I reached for the broom, trying to look busy, but the white horse pushed his head over the stall door and tapped my arm with his nose. "I know," I murmured. "You tasted it too." His ears twitched. Animals never lied, not even when people did. Footsteps scraped behind me. It was the young boy again, holding a handful of oats. "Blanco didn't eat last night," he said. "He only takes food from someone he trusts." His eyes moved to me, unsure. "Don't tell Ramiro I said that." "Your words stay with me," I answered quietly. He tried to smile, but the sound of Benitez kicking open the gate made him jump. "Move." Benitez barked. "Ramiro wants the stable clean in half the time today." His glare slid toward me. "And the new man starts with the hardest corner." I nodded. "Fine." "Fine?" he mocked. "Say, yes, capataz." "Yes, capataz," I repeated, steady. "You wanted fear." I gave him calm. While I worked, water dripped from a loose pipe above the trough. Each drop drew my eyes to a dark stain on the floor, a stain too large to be simple water. I touched it with my boot. The mud there was mixed with something thicker. I looked toward the feed room again. A broken seal lay half hidden under straw. The cheap grain, the sick horses, the numbers, it connected too smoothly. Lucia entered carrying warm cloths. "The vet hasn't come in weeks," she whispered. "Ramiro says he's busy, but the truth is he stopped calling him. Too expensive." She glanced toward the office door. "If the owner saw this, he—" Her voice caught when she saw my expression. Not anger. Not fear. Something else. "Mateo, why do you look like you already knew?" I kept shoveling, slower now. "Because some things don't start here," I said. "They start far away, on a desk, in a report, long before the horses suffer." Her eyes narrowed in confusion. Behind us, the white horse stomped, restless, as if he also sensed the lie that held the whole ranch together, and the storm that was coming to break it. The sun climbed higher, putting a sharp glare across the barn floor. I leaned on the shovel for a moment, catching my breath, but not enough to make it look like rest. Rest drew attention here. Rest invited trouble. Lucia rinsed a cloth in the bucket and said, almost in a whisper, "You speak like someone who has seen the papers. Workers here don't talk about reports." She studied me as if trying to catch a shadow on my face. "Who are you really, Mateo?" Before I could answer, Ramiro's voice cut through the air. "Break's over. You three, move those hay bales to the south pen." His boots struck the ground with angry confidence. When his eyes passed over me, they paused. "You, come with me." The boy looked at me with worry, but I followed the capataz across the yard. Dust lifted behind every step he took. He stopped near the old storage shed and pointed at a stack of heavy wooden crates. "These go to the upper loft. Alone." You drop one, you pay for it. My hands curled into fists behind my back. Crates this heavy for one man? That wasn't work. That was a test. I lifted the first crate. The wood bit into my arms. Ramiro watched, arms folded. Not bad, he said. Though I thought you'd quit by now. He stepped closer. Men like you always quit. Men like me. If he only knew. As I carried the crate inside, something caught my eye. Paper stuffed behind a beam. I set the crate down and slid one out carefully. Receipts. Stamped signatures. Grain shipments that never arrived. My breath tightened. This was the proof I feared I would find. Hey! Ramiro shouted from the doorway. What's taking so long? I slipped the papers under my shirt and grabbed the crate again. Just finding space, I said. He smirked. Then find it faster. When I climbed back down, I felt the papers against my chest like a heartbeat. Lucia's earlier question echoed in my mind. Who was I? For now I stayed silent. But the ranch had begun to talk for me, and the truth was no longer far behind. By noon the heat pressed down like a hand on the back of my neck. Sweat ran into my eyes, turning the dust on my face into mud. I wiped it away and moved toward the water trough. The white horse lifted his head the moment he saw me. He nudged the wooden rail twice, the same way he used to when I visited the ranch years ago. I looked around fast, no one was watching, and touched his forehead. You remembered, I whispered. Even if they didn't. The boy walked over carrying a small sack of oats. Blanco only eats when you're near, he said. He didn't touch anything from Benitez. He paused, watching the horse lean into my hand. It's strange, he acts like he knows you. Animals remember kindness, I said carefully. The boy nodded, though something in his eyes said he wasn't fully convinced. A sharp whistle cut through the air. Benitez marched toward us with a pitchfork in hand. You two finished gossiping? He barked. Ramiro wants the feed shed cleaned next. And you? He jabbed the pitchfork toward me. Better keep your head down today. I pushed the shovel upright. Why today? Because Ramiro is in a mood, he said. Someone messed with the crates. He thinks a worker is snooping. My pulse thumped once, hard. The papers under my shirt felt heavier than the shovel itself. Then he should check his own men, I said. Benitez squinted. Careful, Mateo. Mouth like that gets people fired. Fired? If only he knew firing me meant signing his own mistake. I entered the feed shed with the boy. Dust floated in the sunbeams like tiny sparks. He pointed at the corner. That's where Ramiro keeps the mix he sells outside. Lucia says the good feed is always short. I pretended to sweep while checking the crates. 3 of them had mismatched stamps, the same numbers from the receipts hidden under my shirt. The boy glanced at the doorway to make sure no one was near. Mateo, why do you check everything like someone who owns the place? My grip tightened on the broom handle. Before I could speak, the white horse whinnied sharply, as if warning us something was coming. The white horse's warning echoed through the shed, sharp enough to make the boy jump. I stepped toward the doorway just as Ramiro's shadow stretched across the dirt. He wasn't walking, he was storming. His boots struck the ground like someone hunting a name. Everyone outside, he shouted. Now. The boy whispered, he knows. Stay calm, I said, though my heart hit hard against the hidden papers under my shirt. We stepped out into the sunlight. The workers formed a loose half-circle, heads down, shoulders tight. Ramiro paced in front of them like a man looking for a scent. Someone has been touching what is not theirs, he growled. Someone thinks he's clever. Benitez pointed at me quickly, too quickly. The new one was near the crates. Ramiro's eyes slid to mine. You. Step forward. I did. Slowly. The boy tugged my sleeve once, begging me not to. Lucia appeared at the barn entrance, her hands trembling around a bucket. Even the white horse pressed against the stall door, sensing the tension. Ramiro circled me. Tell me, Mateo, what were you doing in the upper loft? Looking for souvenirs? Just working, I said. Working? He laughed once, loud and sharp. Funny. Because the papers I keep up there don't move by themselves. The workers stiffened. They knew those papers were dangerous, secrets worth more than hay or feed. I kept my tone steady. Maybe the wind moved them. Benitez snorted. There was no wind. Ramiro stepped closer, face inches from mine. Listen carefully. This ranch is mine to run. Mine. Not yours. You obey. You don't question. And you don't touch what isn't yours. Understand? My jaw tightened. I understand work. I don't understand lies. A ripple of whispers broke out behind us. Ramiro stiffened. What did you just say? I locked eyes with him. If the feed is clean, if the crates are honest, you have nothing to fear from anyone checking. Silence snapped across the yard. Even the birds paused. Lucia whispered under her breath, "Mateo, stop." But it was too late. Ramiro's pride cracked. His voice rose, cold and shaking. "Tonight," he said, "you clean every stall alone. No food. No rest. If you survive that, you can stay." The workers looked at me with pity, then with something else. Respect. I didn't look away from Ramiro. "Fine," I said. "I'll clean it all." He smirked, thinking he had broken me. But the truth under my shirt burned hotter than the sun, and the night ahead was going to expose more than he expected. The yard emptied slowly, as if the dust itself hesitated to settle after Ramiro's order. I walked back toward the barn, shovel in hand, pretending the weight didn't bother me. The boy tried to follow, but I shook my head. "Go," I whispered. "You don't want trouble." He hesitated, then backed away, eyes full of worry. Inside, the stalls were quiet. Too quiet. The white horse turned his head the moment I stepped in. He pawed the ground once, then twice, his way of asking what danger waited. Lucia entered a moment later, holding a lantern close to her chest. "You shouldn't answer him like that," she said softly. "He will make you pay." "I've paid worse," I replied. She set the lantern down and reached for a saddlecloth to cover the horse. "You don't act like a worker," she said. "Workers keep their eyes down. You look at everything." She pressed the cloth gently on the horse's back. "And you talk like someone who has lost something here." "Maybe I have," I said. She studied me longer this time. A quiet suspicion grew in her eyes, not sharp, just questioning, like someone solving a puzzle piece by piece. Before she could speak again, footsteps came from outside. "Lucia," Benitez called. "Ramiro wants you in the main house." She stiffened. "He's angry," she whispered. "Then don't go alone," I said. "I must," she answered. "If I refuse, he'll take it out on the horses, or someone else." She touched the white horse's nose and left, looking back once as if wanting to say something but choosing silence instead. The barn door closed behind her. The sound echoed like a warning. I faced the line of dirty stalls. Ramiro had chosen the hardest shift on purpose. Piles of old straw mixed with wet manure filled each corner. The air was thick, heavy, punishment air. I lifted the shovel. "One stall at a time," I murmured. But as I started to work, something caught my eye in the straw, a small torn piece of paper, smudged but readable. A signature. Ramiro's. On a receipt for feed that never arrived. Proof number 2. The ranch wasn't just corrupt. It was bleeding from the inside. The torn receipt felt warm in my hand, even though the night air had cooled the barn. I slid it under the same place in my shirt where the other papers rested. Each new proof pressed harder against my chest, like a heartbeat reminding me why I was here. The white horse snorted, shifting restlessly as if he sensed the turn of events. I shoveled another pile, slow and steady. The work didn't scare me, the silence did. Long silences on a ranch meant someone was deciding something behind a closed door. Decisions made in the dark never brought peace. Halfway through the third stall, a voice came from the shadows. "You're not like them." I turned. The boy stood by the doorway, holding a loaf of bread wrapped in cloth. "You'll faint if you work all night," he added. "Take this." "You shouldn't be here," I said, but my stomach answered before my mouth did. I took the bread. "Thank you." He stepped closer. I heard Ramiro shouting at Lucia. He said her work was slow. The boy looked down. "He gets worse when he's scared." "Scared of what?" I asked. "People who know more than he thinks," the boy said. "People like you." Before I could respond, the barn window rattled. Someone was outside. The boy froze. I signaled him to leave quietly. He slipped out the back door without making a sound. I kept shoveling as if nothing had happened, though every muscle stayed tight. A shadow moved across the window. Then the corner door creaked open and Benitez stepped inside, lantern in hand. His face held an odd smile. "Working hard, Mateo?" "Work is work," I replied. He kicked a bucket toward me, metal clanging loud in the stillness. "Ramiro says you finish all 12 stalls. No shortcuts." I held the shovel still. "Then why are you here?" Benitez leaned on the doorframe, watching me too closely. "To see if you break." His tone was calm, too calm. Not mocking like before. Curious, almost studying me. "You don't talk like a poor man," he said. "And that horse. He looks at you like he's seen you before." The lantern flame flickered between us. I didn't blink. Maybe animals have better memory than people. Benitez's eyes narrowed. For the first time since I arrived, he looked unsure, and fear, not anger, settled into his smile. Benitez stood there longer than necessary, lantern shaking a little in his hand. His eyes moved from my face to the white horse, then back to me. "Something about you doesn't fit," he muttered. "People like you don't end up shoveling manure unless they're hiding from something, or hiding something." I kept my voice steady. "Everyone hides something." He stepped closer. The lantern light crawled across the stalls, catching the sweat on my arms and the dust on my shirt. "Ramiro thinks you're a spy from another ranch," he said. "I think you're worse." "What do you think I am?" I asked. He paused, studying every inch of me. "A man who knows this place too well." For a moment the barn felt smaller. The white horse shifted again, restless. Benitez lowered his voice. "Ramiro doesn't like surprises. If he figures out what you're looking for, he'll—" He didn't finish. Instead he glanced at the barn door as footsteps approached. Heavy, deliberate, familiar. "Ramiro." Benitez straightened so fast the lantern nearly slipped. "Keep working," he whispered, then stepped aside. Ramiro entered, jaw tight, eyes sharper than knives. "You're slower than I expected," he said. "Maybe the work is too much for you." "It will be done," I answered. "It better be," he replied. Then he walked past me toward the far stall, kicking a broken bucket aside. "Something odd happened tonight," he continued. "Someone tried to open the feed room when I wasn't around." I didn't move. "I checked the footprints," he said slowly. "Only two kinds. Mine, and someone with boots too new to belong to a poor worker." His eyes lifted to mine. My heartbeat slowed, dangerously calm. "Anything you want to tell me, Mateo?" he asked. Before I could answer, a soft voice cut through the tension. "Ramiro." Lucia stood in the doorway, clutching a cloth against her arm. Her eyes flicked to me once, quick, pleading, protective. Ramiro turned toward her, irritated. "What now?" "There's a horse limping near the north fence," she said. "I need help bringing him in." Ramiro cursed under his breath, grabbed the lantern from Benitez and walked out without looking back. When the barn door shut behind him, Lucia stepped closer to me. "You need to be careful," she whispered. "He's starting to see you." I wiped my hands on my shirt. "Then I'll work in the shadows." She shook her head. "Shadows don't hide truth forever." Her words hung between us. Outside, the white horse exhaled, loud and heavy, the sound of a secret running out of places to hide. The barn felt colder after Lucia left, as if her warning pulled the last bit of warmth out of the air. I leaned on the shovel, letting the silence settle. The stalls were half finished, manure piled high, straw stuck to my boots, but my mind was no longer on the work. It replayed Ramiro's words: "Boots too new, someone tried to open the feed room," each one pushing closer to the truth I carried under my shirt. I moved to the next stall, forcing myself into a rhythm. The scrape of the shovel, the rustle of straw, the slow breathing of the white horse, it all helped keep my thoughts quiet. But the horse wouldn't settle. He kept pacing, snorting, tapping the door with his hoof. Not in fear. In warning. "Easy, Blanco," I whispered. "I'm still here." A soft creak came from the loft above. I froze. No footsteps. Just weight shifting, someone watching without wanting to be seen. I kept working, pretending not to notice, though the back of my neck tightened. Then the boy slipped in through the side door, cheeks flushed, out of breath. "Mateo," he said in a shaky whisper, "you need to stop." "Stop what?" I asked. He walked closer, eyes wide. Ramiro looked angry when he came back. Worse than usual. He told Benitez to prepare the papers. I don't know what that means, but no one survives it. I knelt to gather more straw. "I won't run." "You don't understand," he insisted. "People disappear when Ramiro writes things down. He says they quit, but their beds stay empty." His fear was real. Heavy. "I'll finish the stalls," I said. The boy looked at me helplessly. "Why stay? You owe this place nothing." I didn't answer. Instead, I reached into my shirt and pulled the edge of one hidden receipt just enough for him to see the seal. His eyes widened. "Those are his." "Not for long," I said. A sudden crash shook the barn. A door slammed hard against the outer wall. The white horse slammed his hoof again, louder this time, almost a shout. The boy whispered the truth both of us felt. "He's coming back." The door banged again, harder this time, and dust drifted from the rafters. I set the shovel down slowly, letting it rest against the stall wall. The boy backed deeper into the shadows, his breath quick and uneven. The white horse raised his head high, ears pinned, muscles tight. Animals always sensed anger before humans did. Ramiro's footsteps entered the barn. Measured, heavy, too calm for a man who usually liked to shout. That calm was worse. It meant he had already made a decision. I kept my back turned, lifting a forkful of straw as if nothing around me had changed. So, he said, voice low, you're still working. Still here? I answered. His boots stopped behind me. Funny. Most men in your position would have run. Running doesn't clean stalls. He exhaled through his nose, half a laugh, half annoyance. Always with the clever answers. He circled me, slow, inspecting the half-finished stalls. You worked faster than I expected. Stronger than you look. Work teaches strength. Or guilt teaches it, he said sharply. I straightened, turning to face him. You think I feel guilty? His eyes narrowed in the lantern glow. You know more than you should. That's guilt. Or fear. Or both. Before I could reply, Lucia appeared again, this time standing just inside the barn door. Her hair was wind-blown, her eyes uncertain. Ramiro, she said carefully, the horse near the fence is worse. He can't walk. I need someone to help me lift him. Ramiro didn't look at her. Handle it yourself. She hesitated. He'll fall. Let him. The boy whispered, he's doing this to punish her too. I stepped forward before I could stop myself. A hurt animal isn't punishment. Ramiro's gaze snapped to me. You speak out of turn again. Someone should. Lucia's lips parted, shocked. The barn held its breath. For a moment Ramiro didn't blink. Then he smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. You want to help? He asked. Fine. Go with her. You'll finish the stalls later. The boy tugged my sleeve. Don't go, it's a trap. Maybe it was. But Lucia's eyes said something else. Please. I took a step toward her. Ramiro's smile widened just enough to reveal the truth. He wanted me out of the barn, and away from whatever he planned next. Lucia hurried ahead of me toward the north fence, lantern swaying in her hand. The night air felt colder there, heavy with the smell of wet grass and something else, fear hanging without sound. The moon hid behind clouds, giving only a faint glow along the fence line. A horse lay on its side, legs trembling, breath coming in short bursts. He fell trying to stand, Lucia said, kneeling beside him. I came back for help earlier, but Ramiro followed me. I couldn't risk calling you. I knelt opposite her. We'll lift him together. As we worked, her hands shook, not from the cold but from everything unspoken between us. Mateo, she whispered, I don't believe your story anymore. You react to things before anyone names them. You know the horses by heart. Even Blanco, he trusts you like family. Tell me the truth. Who are you? I didn't answer. Not yet. We pulled the horse upright slowly, bracing him until he found balance. When he stood, Lucia exhaled with relief and wiped her brow. Then she looked at me again, quiet, firm. If you're here to help this place, you need to understand one thing. People here don't survive truth. They survive silence. And where does that lead? I asked. To the pain you've seen every day, she said. To workers afraid to speak. To animals starving. To Ramiro acting like he owns this land. Her voice dropped lower. And to men disappearing. I glanced toward the barn. A faint glow flickered through the gaps in the boards, lantern light moving where no one should be. Ramiro said I'd finish the stalls later, I murmured. But he didn't stay to watch. That means he wants something cleaned, or found. Lucia followed my gaze, her face draining of color. Go back only if you must, she whispered. He won't confront you in front of others. He'll try to do it in the dark. I've been in darker places, I said. Before she could answer, a distant crash echoed from the barn. A bucket rolling. A door slamming. The kind of noise made when someone searched in anger. Lucia grabbed my arm. Mateo, Ramiro is not just suspicious now. He is sure. I looked at the barn's faint light, the shadows moving inside it, the truth waiting to burst open. Tomorrow would not start with secrets anymore. The walk back to the barn felt heavier than any crate I had carried. The night had gone still, too still, as if the ranch itself waited for something to break. Lucia stayed behind with the injured horse, worry written all over her face. The boy hid somewhere near the sheds, peeking through broken boards. And the white horse. He watched the barn door with the same tense stare he used when storms approached. When I stepped inside, the lantern was hanging in the center of the room, swinging slightly, throwing long trembling shadows across the stalls. Someone had moved it. Someone had been searching. Straw was scattered. Tools out of place. Buckets overturned. And the corner where I had found the torn receipt earlier, turned completely upside down. Ramiro stepped out from behind a stall post. So, he said, voice low and oddly calm, I finally know who you are. I didn't move. My heartbeat slowed instead of rising. Then say it. He circled me, eyes burning with both fear and rage. You're not Mateo. You're the man whose name is on every deed here. The man who abandoned this ranch and left it to rot. The patron who thought he was invisible. I looked toward the white horse. He pressed his face between the stall bars, waiting. Ramiro barked a bitter laugh. You walked in disguise thinking you'd catch us. And maybe you did. But you forgot something. The men here listen to me, not to ghost owners who show up after years. He pointed to the shredded papers on the floor, receipts, false orders, forged signatures. I saw you take them. That's why you worked late. Not for the horses. For evidence. I stepped closer. For the truth. He stepped back. Just one step, but enough to show fear. The ranch isn't yours, I said quietly. It belongs to everyone who kept it alive while I looked away. And I won't let you steal one more day from them. Behind me the barn door opened. Lucia. The boy. 2 workers. Then more. They stood silently, lanterns in hand, hearing every word. Not hiding anymore. Ramiro's face drained when he realized he was alone. I didn't raise my voice. Leave. Tonight. No threats. No shouting. Just truth. He looked at the workers, one by one, and saw something he had never seen before. They were no longer afraid. He walked out without another word. When the barn fell quiet again, Lucia stepped to my side. So, what now? I looked at the white horse, who nudged my shoulder gently. Now, I said, we rebuild what fear destroyed. And in that still night, with the smell of hay and the sound of steady breathing around us, the ranch finally felt alive again. Moral lesson. When leaders turn their backs, corruption grows in the shadows. But one honest act, even from someone who has failed before, can turn fear into courage, and restore dignity where it was lost.